That movie is a shit show. What you think you see, what you think you hear, that's what it's about. It's all theater of the mind. No, it's garbage. It's garbage. Mood and atmosphere. Now that I really like. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see. Hey folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. Welcome, everybody. What's going on? It is, what is it? Wednesday, September the 9th, 2021. It is 6:54 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, yeah, hope you guys are doing well. Hey, Chester Franklin Jr. says the old intro. Yeah, did anybody else notice that? I guess it depends on how long you've been watching me. That intro you just saw was what I had in 2017. No, I'd say 2018 for sure. 2019, yes. But 2020, no, and all of 2021, no. I decided to surprise you guys there. Is it making a comeback? Maybe it is. Maybe you don't give a fuck. Anyway, so it was 3 years ago today that myself and Bruce Dale were at the world premiere of Halloween 2018 in Toronto at TIFF, at the Toronto International Film Festival. I believe it was a Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. I might be off on that. But it was September the 8th, 2018. And we were down there at this very moment, exactly 3 years ago right now. We would have been walking around Toronto. Again, if you want to check that out, the video is on my channel. Just YouTube Dave McRae Halloween World Premiere. It'll pop up. It's about 23 minutes long. And myself and Bruce take you through our day right up to the premiere. So really cool stuff. And today, September the 8th, 2021, 3 years to the day of the world premiere of Halloween 18. And if you watched my video a couple of days ago, of course, I was talking about, how to avoid spoilers. And I don't mean that in a pretentious sense. I'm not, I know I've been accused of sort of spoon feeding or coddling people sometimes. And sometimes you get people saying, I know, I don't need you telling me, like, I know. Well, clearly you fucking don't. But anyway, so click thumb down. Hey, there's over 200 people in the chat room right now and 36 thumbs up. Folks, come on, hit the thumbs up button or hit the thumbs down button, whatever you want to do. It doesn't matter to me. So, I'm just laughing about the poll I put up on my Twitter earlier today. So the reviews have started to come in, all right? And like we knew they would. And Halloween Kills is being seen multiple times at the Venice Film Festival. I watched the panel earlier today, and we knew that this was going to happen. This is the kind of thing that's going to happen. And I've been receiving, as I'm sure you can imagine and appreciate, quite a few DMs and messages from people throughout the day today. Worried, excited, a little unsure because, they can't help themselves. They got to read shit. And, at this moment, as of doing this video at this moment, it is, I don't know what it is. I think on Rotten Tomatoes, Brandon Barry says 46% on Rotten Tomatoes right now. Okay. That could go up or down. And then I think on IMDb, it was like 8 point something or whatever, or, whatever it is. But IMDb is something that you should never, ever, 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 ever. It's unfortunate, really, at the end of the day, because, we all like to see that really great number if it's maybe, it's a movie you really like or like, whatever the case is. Or, for instance, if it's a movie you've created. The problem with places like IMDb is, you always have to take it with a grain of salt because you can review bomb, good or bad, right? You can actually review bomb. Somebody reached out to me today and asking me about that. So I was telling them, hey, don't worry about that. You can review bomb that. that stuff. And, it's so you always take it with a grain of salt because it happens. It's the world of the internet. You can remain anonymous. There's no accountability. There's no responsibility. And, there's a lot of things that people do online out of spite. They just do it out of spite because they can, right? I'm 42 years old and I come from an era where, bullies or people that, those kind of people would get punched in the face. Now they can, remain, I'm not condoning violence. I'm just saying, that was just the reality, right? If you were a fucking dick, you got punched in the face and then you just weren't a dick anymore. And if you continue to be a dick, you just continue to get punched in the face. But of course, the internet is very different. People can remain anonymous and be a dick and there's no accountability. There's no responsibility. So if you don't like something just for the sake of not liking it, or you don't like me, right? You just don't like me. Maybe you thought the movie I did was really good, but you can't fucking stand me. So you go, you know what I mean? It happens all the time. It happens all the time on my videos. It's just spiteful. So that's why you can never use, you're either going to use IMDb or you're not. You can't have it both ways, right? You can't be selective. The cognitive dissonance is that's what we call that, right? So you can't be selective, and only use things and talk about things as it fits you, you know what I mean? Or no, it either is or it isn't. And clearly, you have to take it with a grain of salt. That doesn't mean that if Halloween Kills has a great score, that it isn't a great movie and all those people don't genuinely like it. It doesn't mean that. But because it's so easy for people to be spiteful and thumb down a movie they hate or thumb up a movie they love, you got to take it with a grain of salt. So I really don't give a shit what IMDb says about it. Do you know what I mean? You take my film, for example. It's Me, Billy. I think it's got an 8 something right now on IMDb, which is great. That's awesome. But I know that there were several trolls that went in and were, I know this because they told me. So, it's what are you going to do, right? And it's so easy for them to do it and there's no accountability for it, right? And IMDb just shows it as is, right? So you always have to remember, let's not worry about IMDb, okay? I mean, it's always nice to see a high score. It's cool. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean much, So you always have to take it with a grain of salt. Now, when we talk about the reviews that are coming in from some of the trades today, like Deadline, The Hollywood Reporter, Variety, there have been quite a few that have been not so favorable. Now, when I mean not so favorable, I mean just, from people that didn't like it. And I've been, receiving a lot of DMs from a lot of people angry over this. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't know what the fuck what do you expect? They're talking about this kind of stuff. Now, again, it either matters or it doesn't, right? You can't have selective Rotten Tomatoes envy. You know what I mean? You can't praise Rotten Tomatoes for giving raving reviews over a movie you love, but, at the same time, give them hell for hating a movie you love. You know what I mean? It either matters or it doesn't, and I am somebody that, again, I do not believe that there's the saying, right, that all film is subjective, and that's true to a degree. I think what you like and what you don't like is definitely subjective. I can't tell you what you like. You like what you like. It's like love. You love who you love. I mean, it's the way it is, right? But certainly we can measure the quality of a film and how a film's made through many different means. I think I did a video on it. If I haven't, I got to get to that. So I agree with it to a degree, but they're, not fully in the ways I think most people kind of say, or use that phrase. So again, either Rotten Tomatoes matters to you or it doesn't. You just can't be, you can't be selective, right? You can't be selective and because I've seen it. I've seen people praise a critic's review over a movie they agree with and they love, but then give them fucking hell. The same reviewer for not liking a movie they love. It's well, what, you can't, but again, that goes back to psychology and sociology, right? Where it's this confirmation bias, this groupthink mentality. by and large, where, it's that movies is a communal experience, right? It's that thing where we all love being part of a community, like here, right? We all love being part of a community and sharing our love with people we love. And we always love it when people like what we like, right? It makes us feel like we're not alone, and it makes us feel important and validated, right? We've been vindicated, and Rotten Tomatoes, what people have to understand about Rotten Tomatoes is that, it's been marketed. I don't know if this was intentionally or if this was just the way it kind of just came to be. I think a lot of people who may not know how Rotten Tomatoes works per se, there's this illusion that Rotten Tomatoes is sort of like this board of directors. Do you know? I don't mean directors and film directors. I mean this board of experts, right? And who this sucks. This is great. This like the Supreme Court of movies. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, there's this illusion that these people, the Rotten Tomatoes, well, if it goes to Rotten Tomatoes and they say it's good, it must be great. If it goes to Rotten Tomatoes and they say it's bad, it must be bad. And it's like, no, Rotten Tomatoes are just a bunch of people fucking Now, some of the people are legitimate film critics. And what do I mean by legitimate? Well, I mean by people who've studied the art of motion pictures, right? Who've studied film history, know film history, know how movies are made. Maybe they've worked in the business for many years. They know the nuances and, all that kind, and they've been critics for like 30, 40 years, maybe. They've seen the evolution of cinema. They've seen the evolution of technology. They know storytelling and character arcs and, how to, and, the acts and structure. And like, there are people that are film critics that, you listen to over others because you're like, well, this person gets it. And they might be able to look at a movie from a certain point of view and make you really think and kind of go, oh, I never thought of that before, and point out things of why something doesn't work. Again, it's not about saying something's just shit, right? It's about quantifying your reasons why. I can be theatrical on this channel and I can say, as I've said many times, I think Halloween 5's dog shit, right? Which I often do. But if you wanted to have a serious conversation about it, I could talk for an hour about why I think it is. And I can give you, great insights into, which I've done over the years, right? Insights into reasons why. Sometimes I'm very theatrical in my presentation, but certainly I can get into the nitty-gritty, into the details of why this works and why it doesn't, and why it was probably not the best thing to do for this or this and all that kind of stuff. A lot of us can, but that's important, right? It's important that when you are critiquing something, also, too, is that if there is something that you really liked about it, maybe that's where you start. You start with what you like, and then you go into the critique. That's a bit of a buffer. Now, I know a lot of critics don't do that, but that might be, and that they don't have to do that. I mean, this isn't, an exact science. I'm just saying that if they didn't want backlash or whatever, or death threats, maybe, you start with what you liked or you enjoyed, even if it was small. And that's a bit of a buffer for the person who's really happy, really excited about the movie. And then you go into what you didn't like. But I read the reviews. I read the Hollywood Reporter article. I read the Variety article. I read the Deadline article. And I didn't, now this is just me, I didn't feel that any of them were just bashing the movie because they just didn't want to see them, or they didn't get it, or they didn't understand it. But I think it's also important to understand that the Halloween films, statistically, have never been really reviewed great. I mean, even the first Halloween from 1978 didn't get great reviews upon its initial release. The only Halloween movie, really, at the end of the day, that's gotten great reviews over the last, I don't know how many years, is Halloween 18, right? So this isn't surprising. It's the second one, which isn't surprising, right? And what I'm reading, when I read the reviews, actually, let me go back before I start on that, back to Rotten Tomatoes. So it's important to understand that there are a group of people that could be on there that are, yes, that are definitely understand movies, and you might want to listen to them over somebody else. But Rotten Tomatoes, with all due respect to people who are RT certified, there are a few people on there that, are like Billy Bob in their mom's basement. Again, I'm being satirical to make a point, but they're not, they, and I base this on the quality of their writing. I base this on the quality and the depth of their writing. So when I go to read a review on a movie and I read something that's like 2 paragraphs long and sounds very, very pedestrian, very not juvenile, but simple, very simple, you know, I think to myself, why are you even here? Like, why are you allowed to be here? You know what I mean? But you could say, well, his opinion. And for whatever reason, they have a big following, they got a big YouTube channel, or they have a big blog, or, you know, whatever it is, and they were able to get themselves certified. But it's important to remember that this board of directors that everybody seems to bow at the feet to, there's a long, vast spectrum of qualifications in terms of, you know, understanding film, understanding how movies are made and storytelling and all that kind of stuff, right? And, you know, you don't have to have seen a single Halloween movie to rate this Halloween movie and give it a review. You don't have to, right? It's not like that's a prerequisite. It's not like it's a prerequisite to understand the Halloween or horror genre or universe to be able to give your review. You don't have to do that. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying these are things you got to think about, right? This is why it doesn't fucking matter, is basically what I'm trying to say. You know, like some reviewers, you know, like, it sounds such like a cliche, but, you know, Siskel and Ebert back in the day, right? They were in smart journalists and smart film savvy people, if you know the history of them. And when you listen to them critique a movie or you read what they've written, it's very clear that these are smart film guys. You know, this isn't just Bob from Billy Bob's Movie Blog, you know, saying, you know, whatever it is, right? You know, so those guys are still out there, and gals as well. But there's a spectrum. And I think it's important that you can't have cognitive dissonance. Like you can't say that Rotten Tomatoes matters for one thing, but it doesn't matter for something else. It either does or it doesn't. And generally speaking, you see people say, don't worry about it. You know, take it with a grain of salt, right? I mean, if everybody hates the movie, right? Because they're film fans as well. If Rotten Tomatoes gives a score of like, you know, 5%, well then yes, the probability goes up that it probably is a 5%er of a movie. Do you know what I mean? But generally speaking, you see Rotten Tomatoes, you know, 40 to 70%, like it's usually in there, right? And that just usually means, you know, some people liked it, some people didn't. I mean, it's generally how it usually goes, right? But traditionally, horror movies don't rate well. I'm not saying that there aren't some that do. Of course, there's some that are, you know, that do. But traditionally, horror movies don't rate well. And you go a step below that, slashers don't rate well at all. Traditionally, okay? Generally speaking. So this isn't a surprise, you know? And when I read all the reviews from Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, and again, I haven't read everybody's review, and I've read some of the positive ones as well. The general consensus that I'm kind of coming to is that, and this goes with what I know, because yes, I have read the script, but I do know a lot of stuff, and I've known for a bit, a lot of stuff that happens in the movie, because I know a couple people that have seen it, and it lines up with what I expected. And that is simply that this, and I was talking about this actually with, oh, well, there's Frank right there. I was talking a bit earlier off air with Frank and with Darren about this too, is that, and again, I don't know if this is true, but the general consensus that I'm getting is that this is where Halloween 18 was sort of, maybe for some people a little kind of too far one way. This might be for some people too far the other way. Like people like me, like maybe it's just going to be too much. Like it's just gonna be, okay, well, you know, like maybe they put the pedal to the floor. And of course, with a movie like Halloween Kills and all the carnage and the mayhem and the blood and the guts and the gore, and that's not a spoiler. We know that's in there, right? That it's going to be, and everything that I'm hearing, it definitely is, a high octane, epic, large scale carnage of a film. Well, you know, sometimes in an hour and 46 minutes, you can, it depends on what you are wanting out of this movie, right? So if you are a fan of just, because the horror, one of the things that I've noticed about the horror subgenre, and I've only noticed this the last few years doing this channel, is kills are very important. Kills, right? Kill counts. Kills are very important. And that's great. And there's nothing wrong with that. They've never mattered to me, right? I mean, even as a kid growing up, I didn't really, I know people get killed, but and some kills are cool, sure. But I never based whether a movie had to have great kills for me to like it. There's a lot of horror fans out there that really sort of put all their chips into the pile based on, the kills and the carnage and all that kind of stuff. And if that's you, then you're probably going to really love this movie. I mean, because it is massively off the scale with carnage, right? And so the likes you've never seen before, especially in a Halloween film. And so, but the problem with that is achieving balance. So it's entirely possible. And again, I know a lot about the movie, maybe more so than the average person, not those who've obviously seen the movie now, but I know a fair bit. And what I'm wondering here is that it sounds like for some of the critics, they didn't go in necessarily wanting to hate the movie, because these are probably some of the critics that gave the Halloween 18 film a positive rating. But it sounds to me that one of the issues, if the film does have an issue, okay, and there probably is, one of the issues might be something like it's so crazy, there's so much carnage that it just doesn't have time to breathe. That might be a problem, and maybe it breathes in certain moments, but there's just not a lot of, I don't want to say substance, but not a lot of that room for that. There's pockets of it, sure. I mean, of course, it's not like every second it's kill, 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 kill. I mean, that'd be crazy. But there's so much killing and so much carnage that might be a problem. And some of the reviewers may have been like, "Whoa, this is fun, but can we, I don't, But if you don't care about that, then you could perceive that, critique as what the fuck do you expect? You know what I mean? Because I've received a lot of DMs from people telling me that. What do these people expect, right? It all fundamentally comes down to, what do you want from your Halloween movie? Now I put up a poll on my Twitter. Where are we here? I put up a poll on my Twitter, and in my mind, I was being satirical, but I didn't present it in a satirical way. I just said matter-of-factly, right? It's right at 50% right now. This is funny. The poll was, would you love to see Michael Myers in Halloween Kills completely annihilate a bunch of people with a rocket launcher? Now, if you know me and you know my channel, you can probably feel my wink in there, right? However, 246 people have voted already, and 50% said yes, and 50% said no. Now, out of those 246 people, and so you cut that in half, what's that, 120, 3 or 3, is it? Whatever it is, I can't do math in my head. There's got to be at least, 10 of those people that would be like, yeah, I would like to fucking see that. Michael Myers with a rocket launcher. Now, to me, that's just absurd. To me, that's goofy, comical, and cartoony. But this goes to show you, it was an interesting sociological experiment. It goes to show you that there are people out there that just want fucking batshit shit. You know what I mean? Crazy. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even though it's are you fucking serious, Clark? Really? Now there's probably some people that just said yes just to be farts in the wind, right? Just to be, just to fuck around. But I still find it fascinating and interesting. And again, it goes to show you that it doesn't matter. Everybody gets something different. It's 2021, right? My Halloween, the generation that I come from, it's not that I can't appreciate a movie like Kills. I'm sure I'll watch it, have a good time. You know what I mean? And just take it for a fucking amusement park ride, and then leave and whatever, right? But I'd be lying if I said that if I was in charge of directing Halloween Kills or writing Halloween Kills, that I would have written it the same way. There's no way I would have. I would have amped up, I would have amped it up, and but I definitely would not have done what they've done. But there are people out there that want that. And there are people out there that just think I'm an old fart that's just way past my expiry date, and I need to get with the times, right? There are people that think that. You know what I mean? But it's, for me, it's about balance. and I think maybe, and again, I haven't seen the movie, but for those of you that are just tuning in, I do know a fair bit about it. So I'm sort of pulling from what I know, what a couple people have told me, the reviews. If anything, like I'm thinking about what I'm going to think of or how I'm going to feel after I've seen it from A to B, or A to Z, I should say, is that I may feel that it's just overloaded, maybe. Like it's fun, but it's like, wow, that's just like, it's just death, and then people, what do you expect? And then people, but see, it all depends on what you like and what you want, right? So that's why, when you read the reviews, don't worry about it. It doesn't necessarily mean that, because I tried to be as objective as I possibly could. And when I read the reviews, there were some things in there I'm like, well, that's interesting. That's a good point. That's interesting. I wonder if I'll feel the same way. Do you know what I mean? And they felt like, competently written critiques. But if you already have a bias, because you're so excited about the film, you want it to be good. And this happens all the time, right? And I'm not immune to it. It can happen with me too. If there's a film that it's highly anticipated, I'm really excited about, I want to fucking do well. Do you know what I mean? And then the reviews start to come in and they're not very good, or they're half and half, let's say, right? It feels like a downer. And then you go read the negative reviews and you're already sort of like, you already got that, what the fuck are you saying? Yeah, what the fuck are you saying? Let's see. Oh, fuck you, little fuck. Because it's a little bit of that, like, I'm not saying everybody is like that, but that is there. That does exist, right? It's very difficult to read something that is critiquing something that you want to love so much in a negative way and be objective about it, because you're emotionally attached to it. You're emotionally attached to because there's so much hype, right? And as they often say, the journey is often more exciting than the destination. So the journey that everybody's been on, the last thing you want to hear is, 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, whatever it is. But then if you don't put stock into Rotten Tomatoes for other things, why put stock into it now? You either do or you don't. You know what I mean? You can't be selective with it, and again, it's about balance. It's about balance. And that's the kind of, I'd like to believe that that's the kind of audience member I am. That's the kind of filmmaker I am. I'm not a complete numpty. I mean, I know it's 2021 and I know that, some of the things that maybe worked 50 years ago aren't going to work today, and you got to kind of bump it up. But I would be the kind of filmmaker that would balance it out. So you have maybe something for everybody, right? But that's a difficult thing to do. That's not easy to do. And sometimes it's not even up to me, or it wouldn't be up to me. And maybe it wouldn't be up to David Gordon Green either. It depends on sort of the level of seniority that you have as a filmmaker, as I often say on this channel. I mean, Martin Scorsese, Spielberg, and Nolan might have a bit more say at the table than, me. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's I might be like, hey, I don't want to do that. Shut up, McRae. But if it was Spielberg, it was like, I don't think we should do that. It's like, oh yes, Mr. Spielberg, whatever you say, Mr. Spielberg. There's a bit of a, you know what I'm saying? So, but that's important to remember. It's about balance. That's all I'm looking for. I was never under any, even before they announced Halloween Kills. If you go and listen to my sequel concept video that I have on my channel, I did that about a month before Halloween Kills was even announced. And if you listen to it, you may not agree with it, you may not even like it, but if you listen to it, and those of you that have, you'll notice one thing that I have in there a lot, which is, at least I try to do, is balance. You got the kills, got a bit of the, the carnage in there, right? But there's a lot of that other stuff that I never saw in Halloween 18, and I don't know how much of is or isn't in Kills yet. Again, there's some things I know, but you got to see it to really kind of experience it, right? So it's about balance, and that's what I'm taking away from these early reviews so far, is if there's anything to be kind of worried about, maybe is that it's just too much, but then, like I said, there's people out there that are like, too much nothing. What are you talking about? That's what I want. Well, then it's not too much for you. But for some film critics or some film fans, they might be like, yeah, this was fun, but it was just too much. It was just kill after kill after kill after kill, and a couple of cool lines, and and evil dies tonight, and all this stuff, and that's cool. But there wasn't much else. Like, that's entirely possible. I don't know. But judge the movie on how you feel, not how I feel, not how the person sitting next to you feels, how you feel. If you like it, great. Stop looking to a higher authority to tell you what you think. No, I got to look to the Supreme Court of movies. That's how people treat Rotten Tomatoes, is the Supreme Court of movies. And everybody on there, every face you see, every name you see when you scroll down is a judge. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, this person said I'm wrong. This person gave a pfft and said I'm wrong. No, they're not saying you're wrong. They're just saying they didn't like what you liked. And remember, a lot of those judges have... I'm not calling anybody out specifically. I'm just saying there's a lot of judges on Rotten Tomatoes that have no business being there. And there's a lot that do. But keep that in mind as well. So that's kind of what I wanted to say is kind of give some perspective for those of you out there that may be, losing your shit, losing your minds, reading this and I've read, but the funniest shit that I find though is, the cognitive dissonance, the selective sort of like Rotten Tomatoes gave, it's like, did you see the score for, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a movie that got great reviews recently. Well, let's just say something like, and I know they're different movies and sometimes it can be different genres. And again, even how I'm phrasing it, it's not this black and white. Okay. I understand sort of the irony of kind of what I'm trying to say. But hopefully you get the idea, right? If like you can't praise Rotten Tomatoes 1 minute and then, fucking say they're dog shit and don't listen to them the next just because it's not jiving with what you like all of a sudden or how you feel or your expectation. It either matters or it doesn't. Pick one. You know what I mean? And then go with it. Shit or get off the pot, as they say. And quite frankly, I would say maybe it's more nuanced than that. Maybe it's just like, don't worry about it. You can kind of look at it, read it, go, interesting, okay. And just kind of file it back. Don't get so emotional about it. Just go watch it and see for yourself, how you feel about it. Because that's what you have to do at the end of the day. That's what you have to do at the end of the day, is see how you feel about it. So let's go over to the chat room and see what you guys are saying about this. I know a couple of super chats did come in, I believe. There was one that came in. Actually, there's a couple that came in. I did see the most recent, but I got to go back. It's not showing up in my, is it showing up in my thing? Probably not. No, it's just showing those two. Fucking Christ. I just got to go back into my YouTube, studio here for a second and go to, there was one here. Okay, here. So, Nate A earlier, which thanks for the $2, Nate, and just said 46% of Rotten Tomatoes. What? I thought this was wildly loved. Well, I don't know where you're getting that. Well, see, again, I think not everybody who went to see it or who had early access to it is a Rotten Tomatoes certified critic or judge, right? That's very different. Right? So keep that in mind. Jason Stillwell sends in $5. Thank you, Jason. Says, Michael Myers with a rocket launcher would be awful because it's not true to the character. No, I know that. That's why I put it up there, right? And there's, again, for those of you that are just tuning in, there's a poll on my Twitter. That's my Twitter down there, wherever I'm at here. Where am I? Hang on. Where am I doing this? Right there. And I just said that, would you love to see Michael Myers in Halloween Kills completely annihilate a bunch of people with a rocket launcher? Now, again, if you know me, you probably, okay, Dave's just being silly, right? But the fact that 255 people have voted and 50.2% said no, but 49.8% said yes, that's like a statistical tie. Now, are there people in there that have just said yes because they're fucking around? Absolutely. But there's no doubt that there are at least a handful of people that went, yeah, I'd fucking love to see that. I would really love to see that. Totally. Well, that goes to show you the kind of like the fan base that's out there. Like the spectrum is so large. Maybe that depends on your age, right? I mean, maybe if you're 22, I don't know, and you grew up with that kind of shit, you're like, yeah, America, yeah. you know, I mean, who knows? I don't know, you know, and I'm like, really? You want to see Michael Myers with a rocket launcher? It's crazy, but people do. Some people do. It's kind of funny. Collector's Digest sends in $19.99. Thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate that. That's very generous of you. Says, thank you for encouraging folks to think for themselves. Could use more of that these days. Oh, for sure. And that goes with anything, right? You know, I mean, you know, yes, you listen to like, and I understand why people put so much stock into Rotten Tomatoes. Like, I totally get it. It's like, really, at the end of the day, it's how Rotten Tomatoes is used and marketed, right? There is this illusion that is, and I'm not trying to, you know, call anybody out on RT. I mean, I've read many RT articles that I agree with, and I've read many RT articles that I don't. But so like it should be used as sort of just kind of like a food for thought kind of thing. Hey, here's some, you know, like it would be different if every film, like if it was only like 10 film critics. Do you know what I mean? And that doesn't mean that if you went to school and you studied film and all that kind of stuff, that you know everything there is. It doesn't mean that. I'm just saying that if somebody is film savvy, understands storytelling and structure, and maybe understands the series or the genre, or, you know, or maybe you have critics for certain genres. Do you know what I mean? Or you know, that kind of thing. I mean, that's getting, you know, there's horror genre critics, you know, and maybe RT should divide themselves like that. If they start doing that, fuck, my invoices in the mail, Rotten Tomatoes. But maybe there's something like that, right? Where, you know, you have, that's kind of weird. You know, if you're a film critic, you should be a critic of all cinema. And I get it, I understand that. But I'm just saying that don't put so much stock into it, because you can also, and how the scores are evaluated are tricky too. Like if you give, I forget what it, I'm hazy on the details because I haven't checked in a while. But if you give, I stand to be corrected on this, but I believe if you give like a 6 out of 10 on Rotten Tomatoes, I think that's like I think you have to give like a 7 or a 6.5 or higher or something, right? So like look at the actual score as well. Like don't just look at tomato or splat, tomato or splat, tomato or splat, because sometimes a splat is actually a fairly moderate score. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes maybe it's like a, you know, it's like a, yeah, like a 6 out of 10 or something like that. Like it's, and how they're evaluated and how they're added up. Fuck, I used to know this, is not the ways that you would think either. Learn how Rotten Tomatoes works. And that also might help you understand, and make you feel better sort of about sort of the reviews that sometimes come down the pipe. But I would say that yeah, just don't put so much stock into it, you know, and think for yourself. You know, and try to, especially when it comes to movies, you like what you like, you don't like what you don't like. Stop looking to other people to tell you what you like. You know, as I've always said on this channel, don't come to me to have me confirm what you like. If we agree on the same things, that's awesome. But I hope you tune in because you want to find out what I like. And I know there's lots of people out there that are like, oh, fuck, I don't agree with Dave on that one. Well, that's good. That's what I want. You know, that's what I want. And so if you go to see Kills and, you know, a month from now or so, and you love it, that's great. Don't look to the board of directors to go, you're wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, don't worry about it, you know? But I think it's really how Rotten Tomatoes, yeah, is marketed. The illusion that Rotten Tomatoes is this like, you know, Supreme Court in the world of the entertainment industry. And that's why I think in a general sense, there's so much like, oh, I mean, listen, you know, if I had a film out there that got an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, I'd be pretty fucking happy too, right? It's a measuring stick, right? I'm not immune to it. If I had a film out there that had 22% on Rotten Tomatoes, I'd kind of feel pretty shitty, wouldn't it? It'd feel even worse if the, you know, audience score and the critic score were both at 22%. I'd be like, God, you know, it wouldn't be so bad if maybe the critics didn't like it, but it had like a, you know, 90% for, you know, the fans or something. I'd be like, oh, well, that's who it was for anyway. You know what I mean? But we also have to remember too, that critics are also fans. You know what I mean? And yeah, there are some smug, arrogant, egotistical, pretentious douchebags out there. Sure. But at the end of the day, they're fans, especially in today's evolution of journalism. You know, again, as I've said, I mean, I grew up in a media family and you know, journalism for the most part is laughable today. It's not what it was when my father was, you know, was a columnist and a reporter. And he was through the golden age, you know, through the 60s, the 70s, you know, and it's not what it is. It's not that there wasn't bullshit. I mean, there's always been bullshit, but now like everybody, you know, you start a fucking blog and and like, I'm a journalist. No, you're not. No, you're not. Yes, I am. I'm a journalist. No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. But that's the internet, right? There's no screening process. Everybody with a fucking keyboard and a mouse can write something and feel it should matter, So, yeah, I mean, maybe Rotten Tomatoes would be better if it was there was some sort of screening, kind of like it's just these 10 people, and they're vetted and they have education and they're film smart and maybe genre smart. And again, that doesn't mean that they're perfect, but I just mean that maybe that would give it a little more credibility, maybe. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of fans, sometimes film smart people, giving your thoughts on a film. And if you agree, great. If you don't, well, then don't worry about it. And right now, I don't know what's the Rotten Tomatoes score. Somebody tell me what the Rotten Tomatoes score is this very second for Halloween Kills. Somebody let me know. A bunch of super chats came in. You guys are awesome. Mikey Film sends in $1. Thank you very much, Mikey. Appreciate that. Brandon Barry sends in $4.99. Says, Dave, if Halloween Kills is a critical disaster from both critics and fans, does that hurt Halloween Ends? Absolutely. Yeah, it does. It doesn't mean the film won't be made. But certainly, yeah, that always is a bit of a gut punch for sure. Nerd Report sends in $5. Hey, my man! Lewis from the Nerd Report says, most good horror movies get bad reviews. To be clear, though, knowing that Kills is blood. Knowing that Kills is bloody is a turnoff. Yeah, and it's also, I mean, it depends on the individual, right? And it's true. I mean, I wouldn't even just say most good horror movies. I'd say most horror movies get bad reviews. It's a very acquired taste of a genre. I will say this, and this is kind of a weird analogy, but I just thought of this now off the top of my head. The horror genre, excuse me, because there's horror and then there's many different subgenres. The horror genre is like black licorice. Now, maybe some of you out there love black licorice, but black licorice to me is that really it's an acquired taste. Or for me, it's like coffee, right? Coffee, I hate the taste of coffee. I don't drink coffee, contrary to what some of you might think, because I'm like, last time I had a coffee was like 10 years ago, and it was only because I was trying to put some caffeine in me before I drove back to college. 20 years ago, excuse me. I think I said that. Did I say that? If I said 10, I'm lying to you. It was 20 years ago. So yeah, like it's that kind of thing. Like the horror genre, you either love horror or you don't. There are people that cannot watch it. Like, just do not watch horror. They don't like being scared, right? So it's not like drama. It's not like action. It's not like adventure or even thriller. It's a very acquired taste of a genre. So it doesn't generally favor well with critics. And that's just the way it is. So judge it on your own. That's the important thing, is you got to judge it on your own. Sweet Tea. Hello, Sweet Tea. Thank you very much. And sends in $10. The tea is sweet tonight. Says, for the channel, my friend, be safe. P.S. I got my It's Me Billy shirt in the mail. Thanks. Woo! Thank you so much, Sweet Tea. I'm glad you did. Yes, I've been getting a few messages from people. Speaking of It's Me Billy, there's the hoodie there. I've been getting a few messages from people saying that they received their It's Me Billy t-shirts in the mail. So that is great. So if you haven't received yours yet, look out for it this week. It's probably almost at your doorstep. So that's pretty cool. That's awesome. And the Blu-rays are in the middle of being authored right now. And then we got to get the posters out to you guys. And yeah, so things are happening. Things are definitely happening. That's so great that you guys are getting it. Awesome. It must feel good, right? June H sends in $5. Thank you, June. Says, if Halloween does a Smith's Grove TV series with Loomis, Jamie Lloyd, and young Michael, would you avoid it completely, or would you update us and watch it? First of all, I don't think they're going to do that. But sure, no, I'd watch it. Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, of course I would. I'm a Halloween fan. I'd love to see it. That doesn't mean I'm going to like it. But certainly I would watch it. And I wouldn't, like, again, I'm not a movie reviewer. I'm not a reviewer, right? I'm just this isn't my job. Not that it has to be your job to be a reviewer. I'm just saying that I'm not a movie reviewer. I don't see myself that way. That's why you don't see reviews on this channel. So it's not like if that existed, I would be like doing a review on each episode or something. I wouldn't do that. I would probably just watch one season and then maybe just do like a live AMA like this and just give you my thoughts. You know what I mean? But yeah, totally. Absolutely. Frank Riker said, Frank, my man, sends in $10. Says, Dave just flew back from Venice on Blum's carpet. That's what I thought. Yeah. Frank was my source down on the ground, boots on the ground. And, and he said he is skipping ends entirely and making Halloween Returns with David Gordon Green, changing the ending to H-18 the way he wanted it to. I think that'd be amazing. Just fuck it all up. Fuck it all up again. Just keep going. Screw everything up. Yeah, totally. I'm down. Frank follows up with, thank you, Frank. Says, remember, folks, Dave likes pineapple on his pizza, so whatever he says, you can trust him. Hey, wait a minute. Are you not a fan of pineapple on your pizza? I love pineapple on my pizza. And coincidentally enough, my girlfriend and I last night had pineapple on pizza. We had pizza last night. It was a fun time. We were hanging out downtown yesterday, and then we came back to my place and we had some pizza. So, and it had pineapple on it, and it had ham. So I know she loves pineapple and ham on pizza. Who doesn't? Who are these strange people that that hate pineapple on pizza? I have no idea. Shout out to Victoria Miro, who likes pineapple on her pizza as well. Bruce doesn't. Son of a bitch. Anyway, thank you, Frank. Jacob 26 Film Guy sends in a very generous $20. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. Says, Halloween Kills is going to have fans who love it or not. Movies can't please everyone, and we should evaluate movies ourselves. Thanks again, Dave, for the voice acting advice. I am taking an acting class now here in Los Angeles. Amazing. Amazing, my man. That's awesome. I wish you the best of luck. Keep me posted. Feel free to check in with us and let us know how you're doing. Yeah, it's so important that if you want to be a voice actor and you have no experience whatsoever, learning the craft of voiceover and voice acting is obviously very important. And I certainly don't, say that, you shouldn't take a voiceover class or something like that. That's important. But if you've never done acting in your life at all, you need to take an acting class for sure and learn the art of acting and performing, because voice acting is acting. You know what I mean? So yeah, for sure. And it can be even more difficult than on camera acting because you're behind a microphone. So all those tiny sort of nuances and subtle micro expressions and ways that, you might be able to sort of, portray through your body language and face on camera, you don't have that luxury behind a microphone. So it's all like, there are many times where I've done animation and it's not just about doing funny voices. It's about, embodying and creating a character. So like, for example, one of the voices that I often get hired to do in animation is, hey, what's going on, right? The old man voice. That was sort of the voice I did for Gareth Griffiths on Fireman Sam. The U.S. version of Fireman Sam, not the Welsh version. And I also did that voice. I've been doing that voice for Where Oliver Fits, which is a new animated show. By the way, there's an hour-long animated Christmas special where Oliver Fits coming out this December. I think it's just going to be online to start. I think it's an hour long. Great for kids between like ages of like 5 or 2 and 7 or something like that. Anyway, I play the dad and grandpa, and I use that voice, right? But anyway, but when I'm doing that voice, it's not like I'm just behind the mic going, hey, what's going on? I'm getting into the character and I'm sweating buckets and I'm moving around. And if I have to if I get hit with something, like maybe like an object or something, I'm like, oh, God, and I'm doing all this I'm physically acting. You have to physically become the character, because those types of, that level of expression through your body helps your performance and helps it come through over a microphone. Do you know what I mean? Rather than just standing there doing a funny voice. It's not about doing funny voices. It's about creating three-dimensional characters, especially for animation. Now, again, there's many different subgenres for voiceover, so I'm specifically talking about animation, right? But I wish you the best of luck, man. I wish you the best of luck. That's awesome. John Dumbalis? John Dombalis, I think I'm saying that right. If I did not, my apologies. $10. Thanks, buddy. Says, love the channel, Dave. We need a Halloween video game. Yes, we do, but I want the Halloween video game to be like an open world thing. You know, first of all, it's never going to happen. I mean, the rights would be ridiculous. It's going to cost way too much money. But you know, Grand Theft Auto, GTA, yeah, that's what I'm talking about, but like with Halloween. So you could play as Michael, you can play as Laurie, you can play as Dr. Loomis. You have to unlock certain characters. You travel all around Haddonfield, like in the station wagon or whatever. And maybe you can travel down the street to Russellville in like real time. You know, like that's the fucking shit that I want to see. Like go all out or don't give me anything. I don't want a fucking cheap video game where I'm Michael Myers and it's one street and that's fun. That's cool because we've never had that before. And I get it. And I'm not knocking the creators that created that. I think it was the Dead by Daylight thing. That's awesome. Cool shit. Love it. Cool. Awesome. Yes. But, you know, I'm talking like fucking full on millions of dollars. Like some of these video games, people, I don't know if you know this. If you're a gamer, you probably do. I'm not a gamer. But some of these video games have the budgets of fully fleshed out, like full on Hollywood films. Like some of these video games cost hundreds of millions of dollars to make. You know, like it's insane. And I'm talking about like, you know, an $80 million Halloween video game. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. But I'd love it. I would love it. Fast Forwards 289 sends in $4.99. Thank you, buddy. Says a little something for the channel. By the way, your Resurrection and Friends video was hilarious as hell. Oh yeah, Busta and Friends. Busta.
Yeah.
Say it.
Say what, baby? Say what?
You know. Yeah. I love doing stupid shit like that. It's fun. Darren, my man. Oh, Darren, thank you. Yes, I forgot about this. I had asked what the Rotten Tomatoes was, and Darren had to send in a super chat to get my attention. Thank you, Darren. Yeah. Darren loves me. Yabber. 449. Thank you, Darren. Says, let's raise a glass to 46%. Yes, let's do it. 46%. So what is 46%? What does that mean really at the end of the day? As of right now. Well, basically, for all intents and purposes, that means, according to the critics that are rating it on RT, half liked it enough to give it a positive score, half didn't like it so much, so they gave it kind of a negative one, right? So like it's half and half. 46% is not abysmal. Okay, there's many movies that you fucking love that end up at... Now, is that going to go up or down? Absolutely. Absolutely it will. But certainly, out of the gate, would it have been better if it was like 96% or 86%? Sure, because that's what you want, right? You're attached. That's what I would love to see. I'd love to see that. But this isn't surprising. And it's not surprising because the reviewers are being spiteful or they just don't know their asses from their elbows. Sometimes that's the case. I mean, sometimes it is. But generally speaking, it's different strokes for different folks. And the horror subgenre is just something that, you know, it's hard to resonate with the mass audience. You know, usually you'll get smart psychological thrillers or horror films that do better because there's a smartness to the writing. It tends to lend itself better to an audience. But the slasher subgenre is an acquired taste, especially when it comes to critics, right? Critics, people who are evaluating it on things, because, you know, there are some people that are just going to evaluate Halloween Kills on whether or not it entertained them and it had a lot of and had a lot of kills. Well, that's not what a critic is evaluating. That's not what a movie pundit should be evaluating, right? They should be evaluating the film as a whole: story, structure, entertainment, you know, continuity, you know, characters, development, all the shit that you're not generally critiquing when you watch a movie. I mean, sometimes it's noticeable when it's bad, right? But you generally speaking, the movie-going audience just wants to be entertained. And you want to see Michael tear some fucking shit up. Well, that's not their job. Their job is not to go, I want to say, yeah, Michael teared some shit up. 99%, baby. I mean, that's not generally how it works, right? So that's why it's like, don't worry about it. Like, just judge it on your own. Judge on your own. I have a feeling that the fans are going to like this. I have a feeling that some fans are not going to like it. Obviously, can't please everybody. But I have a feeling that most of you will probably like it. All right, Jake Messman sends in $9.99. Thank you, Jake. Says some additional context. Halloween 78 has a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, and Halloween 2 has a 32% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's right. Halloween Kills sounds like it could be the more violent fan favorite, much like Halloween 2. Yeah, I could totally see that. I bet you, and again, there's things that I already know, so this is coming from sort of not an exactly pure not knowing anything standpoint, but I haven't seen the movie. But I will say that I have a feeling that absolutely, from an entertainment value perspective, this will entertain you way more than 18 did. Way more than 18 did. Oh yeah, my phone's dinging. Well, way more. And I have a feeling that yeah, from a pure entertainment nostalgia Easter egg perspective, absolutely. Absolutely. But do you want more than that? I don't know. Do you want more? We'll see. We'll see. But let's not forget too that when Halloween opened up, I mean that, Rotten Tomatoes, was not around in 1978. It wasn't around in 1988. Was it around in 1998? I don't know. So a lot of the reviews for older movies, you have to keep in mind that are generally in retrospect, right? So when you'd have to go to the newspaper and Siskel and Ebert, and because there is a Siskel and Ebert show where they review the original Halloween in 1978. So you'd have to really go to that, and Ebert, we know, loved it, right? You'd have to go to that, kind of back then to see what the first impressions were. It's not like the original Halloween in 78 out of the gate, 96% of the reviewers loved it. That's not true. No, people hated it, until I believe it was The Village Voice, right? I think was the one that gave it a positive review, and then it just caught on like wildfire. So a lot of movies that didn't favor well at first, but now have positive RT scores from the 50s or 60s or 70s or even 80s, that's in retrospect. And sometimes that happens. I mean, it's possible that Halloween Kills, I guarantee you that if Halloween 2 right now has a 32% on Rotten Tomatoes, I don't know when the last review was for that. The dates are there. But if you were to wipe the slate clean and have all these reviewers review Halloween 2, it's like Halloween Season of the Witch. If you were to review Halloween Season of the Witch again in retrospect, my God, it'd probably have an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes. Everybody fucking loves that movie now all of a sudden, right? So that's something you got to keep in mind as well. So it's entirely possible that if Halloween Kills ends up sitting at I don't know, let's say it finishes at 52%. It's possible that you fast forward, 20 years from now or 30 years from now, and whatever virtual version of Rotten Tomatoes there is, because it's only going to keep evolving, it might be higher, right? Because a new generation is looking at it going, whoa, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We shall see. Scott Mariano sends in $4.99 and says, Dave, I love these shows. It feels like a bunch of friends all hanging out. Well, that's great. I'm glad it does. That's what I wanted to feel like. Movie Chat and More sends in £2. Thank you, Movie Chat and More. Says, so Zombie got make his Halloween 3 after all. Oh, yeah. Well, in terms of the carnage and things like that, yeah, it kind of sounds like that to some degree. I mean, if you're looking for Michael, the more nuanced, and again, I know a few things. There's some of but it's a high octane, balls to the wall, Jason Voorhees type of shit. I mean, that's really what it is. That doesn't mean you're not going to like it, because like I said, there are fans that fucking want that shit. June H sends in $5, says all Shrek voices was recorded in 2000 in the same room, etc. Is it better for voice actors to be in the same room environment, or do they still do that? Short answer, absolutely. Whenever you can be in the same room as your fellow actors recording animation, it is amazing. I've most of the animation I've done, and of course, especially during COVID, I'm here in my booth. This is my booth right here. It's a walk-in closet. When you go in there and you go that way, it opens up, and that's where I have my microphone and my screen and all that. The microphone that I use to record my voice, sorry, I'm just bringing up another screen here. My voiceovers on is not this one. This here is just for YouTube. But anyway, so most of the animation I've been doing lately has been from my home studio here because of COVID and all that kind of stuff. And, it's fine. It's fine, right? Like, you have to read the script and you have to read the character before you to get sort of the context of how to deliver the line. Because there's many different ways you can deliver a line, and you want to make sure that you are delivering the correct. Let me try that again. You want to make sure you're delivering the line that. My stomach just growled. I don't know if you heard that. You want to make sure that you're delivering the line the correct way in relation, so it has the right sort of connotation to it and the right vibe to it, right? And sometimes if you don't get it right, and it's not in the right inflection or the right style, that's the casting director's job to kind of reel you in and give you that context. So, a lot of animation is recorded separately and remotely, 100%. But anytime you can get in a studio with like 4 or 5 voice actors, all sort of, because you play off of each other and you feed off each other's energy and you can feel the line. So if you say something like, well, I didn't know that was going to happen, right? You say kind of with, a bit of a tone, then the next line for me might be like, hey, well, don't talk to me like that, right? And I would respond to you like that because you've given me a snarky tone. Whereas if there's no context and we're not in the same room and I'm recording remotely without the director there, I might say that like, hey, don't give me a snarky tone, right? And then the director would be like, no, she's actually saying it like this, so we need you to be more defensive. Do you know what I mean? Whereas the director wouldn't necessarily have to tell me that because the actor and I would be in the same room and I would already be defensive because she's being snarky with me. You know what I mean? So it's always better when you can record in the same room with an ensemble cast because you feed off each other's energy and you feed off each other's lines. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. But of course, with this new era we're in right now, it's been proven to be a little more difficult. Jacob Bales. Thank you, Frank. Jacob Bales. Jacob Bales. Did I miss one? Jacob Bales? I'm going all the way back. Jacob Bales. John. Fast. Darren. Jacob Bales. Yes. Thank you. Jace. Sorry, not Jacob. Jace, thank you. Yes, Jace Bales, thank you, buddy. $4.99 says, for the channel, Dave, thank you. Despite reviews, do you still feel like you'll like Kills better than 18? Also, have you seen The Green Knight from A24? I have not seen The Green Knight from A24, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. Do I think I still will enjoy Kills over 18? I think so. Because I think it's going to be far more entertaining. And I think from what I'm hearing and what I know, the nostalgia is being ramped up to, 10,000. So I think if anything, it's just going to be an entertaining ride. It's maybe not a lot of cake, but certainly a lot of icing. And I think that, hey, sometimes a lot of icing is really nice. You know what I mean? So I think I'll enjoy it at that level. But who knows? Maybe I'll walk away going, wow, actually there really was something there. But the general consensus from what I'm hearing and some of the reviews that I'm reading is that there's a lot of icing. Absolutely. And a lot of sprinkles and a lot of chocolate syrup, a little bit of cake, and so we'll see, right? I mean, even that can be subjective at the end of the day, depending on what you're looking for. Okay, I got that. Got that. Nate A sends in $5. Thank you, Nate A. Says, I've heard that Kills was never going to be as critically acclaimed as 18. It's looking we're repeating history. The sequels are always controversial. Yeah. I mean, this is what I often talk about statistically, right? In terms of what you can expect, traditionally, and that doesn't mean that you're not going to like Kills, but as I've often said, the more sequels you make, the shittier, they will become. Now, I'm not saying that Kills is shittier than 18. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that there is a shelf life here, right? And it sounds like they have a complete story. It sounds like Halloween Ends is going to be much more, funny enough, ironically, Halloween Ends might end up being the best of the three because it might be the proper, I don't know what they're doing with Ends yet, but we know that Kills is that, you know what I mean? If 18 was like, no, this is a really weird way to articulate this, but if 18 was like, Kills is, and then Ends might be more like, Like it might be that balance that we're looking for. Not too much, not too cold, not too hot, just right. Maybe for somebody like me, because we know it's not going to be as crazy as Halloween Kills, right? So I'll be curious. I'll be curious to see what they do with ends. But yeah, I mean, it has a shelf life. And I think they know that. And so I'll be very curious to see how they wrap this up, and what they're going to do. Jim Dorsey sends in $4.99, says, remember, no matter what happens in Age Kills, we have all survived Busta Rhymes karate kicking the shape out a window. We're going to be just fine. That's absolutely true. We've all survived the Myers house being a gothic mansion. We've all survived Michael banging his niece, and we've all survived Busta Rhymes drop kicking Michael Myers out his own fucking window. We'll be fine. We will live. You will live. Matt Hansen sends in $4.99. Thank you, Matt. Says, thank you for doing this, Dave. I'm so excited for Kills, but some of the reviews were putting me in a sad, depressed mood. Thanks for the pick-me-up. Well, you know what? And again, that doesn't mean that you won't go in and watch the movie and be like, you know what? I kind of agree with them. That could happen too, right? But at the end of the day, it's important that we learn what are reviews and how they work and what traditionally does happen with horror movies and horror sequels and, the slasher subgenre I think it's more for us, just don't worry about it. I know it's hard to ignore because we're so inundated with social media and Rotten Tomatoes because the entertainment industry has made Rotten Tomatoes, they use it as a marketing tool, right? They use it as sort of the judge, jury, and executioner of a movie. And sometimes it can be, you see promos for films. I've done a couple of promos for movies that have had Rotten Tomatoes, 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. They use like, well, if Rotten Tomatoes says it's good, then it must be good, and that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes it is. Generally speaking, see, that's the thing that you have to understand too, is that if you see a movie on Rotten Tomatoes that has like a 98% or is above 90%, there's probably a good chance that you're going to like that movie, right? Because you have so many different types of movie fans, on that are Rotten Tomatoes critics, and the vast majority of them liked it. So it's about probability then, right? If you see a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes, chances are you're probably not going to like it. But if you see anything between a 40 and like a 75 or whatever, it's 50-50, right? Some people liked it, some people didn't. Learn how Rotten Tomatoes works too. I'm sure there are a bunch of YouTube videos that tell you how it works and how the scores are actually tallied and how it works. And it's probably going to make you feel better. Just don't put so much stock into it. Just kind of go, yeah, okay, it's got whatever. It's got 46%. Great. Some people liked it. Some people thought it was too violent. Okay, great. Well, whatever. That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. Andrew Stevens sends in $5. Thank you, Andrew. Says, our Shout Factory orders has been delayed until 10/5. So you shall have it before Halloween. No worries, my man. No worries. I appreciate it nonetheless. Thank you for the update, though, Andrew. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. But that's cool that I'll be able to get it before Halloween. That's awesome. That's awesome. Tyler Reese, I think is how you say that, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have my glasses on. $1. Thank you, buddy. Marcus Adams sends 10 NZ. I wonder what that is. What is NZ? NZ dollars. New Zealand, right? NZ? New Zealand? It's got to be New Zealand. Very cool. Thank you, buddy. Says, I have a feeling that once all three are out, then it'll be the perfect Halloween story. And that might be the case. There's a lot of people that tend to premature ejaculate when it comes to, these types of films. Listen, regardless of what your thoughts are on the Star Wars sequel trilogy, okay? There were many people that, were bashing The Force Awakens and how things, and now remember at this time, we didn't know about The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi hadn't even started shooting yet, that were bashing certain things in The Force Awakens that didn't make sense or didn't add up. And I was like, well, this is the first chapter. It's the first act in a 3-act play. Let's wait and see how it goes out. Now, unfortunately, it didn't pan out very well. But, that is a good point that you're making. If you if you didn't like Halloween 18, well, wait until Halloween ends. If you're kind of like, Halloween Kills. And if you're like, Halloween Kills, I don't know. Well, let's. Now, we are able to judge it individually, but we're also going to have to be able to judge it as a whole, as a 3-act play as well, because that's how it's being presented to us. It's being presented to us as a 3-act play, so we have to judge it accordingly like that as well. So that is a good point to make. Intel Wild, my man, sends in $10. Thank you, Intel. Says, hey, Dave, got that signed autograph yesterday, buddy. Thanks on that. No problem. I'm so glad that you got it. And I'm getting my wish in Kills with a new fresh Myers mask in the flashback. Oh, that's true. That's true. That's going to be fun to see. I'm so glad that you got the envelope, man. That's awesome. And you got a t-shirt. Did you get a t-shirt? I'm pretty sure you got a t-shirt. Did you get a t-shirt? Can't remember if I sent you a t-shirt or not. Anyway, that's awesome that you got it. Yes, that's good to know. So things are starting to arrive. All right. I love you guys. Okay. Mikey Film sends in $2. Thank you, Mikey. Tyler Reese, did I say that right again? Rise, maybe, but I think it's Reese, R-I-E. It sounds like Reese to me. $2, thank you. Says, will you add this movie to your Halloween rankings? Oh, sure, yeah. Oh, absolutely. When the movie comes out, I will probably update my Halloween rankings for sure. Yeah, that'll be fun to do. I mean, it's the kind of thing like I'll definitely give you my first impression thoughts, and then I will probably see it again, and then yeah, like I have to let things marinate a bit as well. You got to let things marinate a bit, and maybe see it, 2 times or whatever to kind of see how you feel, and because whenever, I don't know about you guys, but for me, whenever I'm about to sit down and watch a highly anticipated movie that I'm very excited to see, usually that first screening's like a blur. Do you know what I mean? Because you're just so excited to be there, and everything's coming at you at once and whatever, and it's kind of like you have to let the novelty wear off, and you have to revisit the theater again, and then just now you know what to expect, and kind of just watch it through a bit of a different, a calmed down lens, if you will. So yeah, letting things. I recommend everybody, before you give your final conclusion, to maybe see the movie more than once. You can give your first initial thoughts, but maybe kind of sit on it for a day or two and kind of see how you feel, especially if you're not sure. You know what I mean? Especially if you're not sure. Yeah, for sure. Okay, I think I've got all the super chats that have come in. You guys are amazing. Holy snap and crap. Escapist says, I hope Sartain comes back with no explanation and steals the mask again. That would be hilarious. That definitely would be quite funny if they did that. Galford's dog says, you're telling me they're lined up for a slaughterhouse. You're telling me they're lined up for a slaughterhouse. They could be. This line from Brackett in the 78 film should be referenced or called back in Kills. This could justify the movie being more violent. Well, I mean, that's why I had, again, I don't know who has and who hasn't listened to my Halloween 2018 sequel concept idea video. I know it's a really long title. But again, a couple of months before they even announced a sequel called Halloween Kills, I gave my own version of a sequel. And it was pretty violent. You might go, this is a Dave McRae kind of film. This is kind of violent. But it was balanced, right? When you listen to my ideas, you're like, oh, I see what he's doing. Hopefully you see that. And there's a slaughter, if you will, in my film, albeit it's more kind of off screen and theater of the mind and what have you, but still really like the setup and the scene, all that kind of stuff I love. And it was taken from that. It was taken from that. Again, that connection to the original film. So I agree with you. I mean, if they make reference to that here, that definitely would be pretty cool. That would be cool. June H sends in $2 and says, do the blackest eyes, devil's eyes in Trump's voice. All right, that's right, everybody. Halloween Kills, okay? It's great. I love it. He's got the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes, okay? He's got the devil's eyes. I love him. He's great. He's fantastic. I love Mikey. He's great. I love him. He's the best, the biggest, the blackest eyes. He's great. Zach Axiola says, Dave, are you planning to do a big epic review for H Kills like how you did with H18, or will it be a McRae Live or Two Dudes episode? That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, with Halloween 18, I was actually in Hollywood when the movie was released. So I actually, like, I got to see it actually. I saw it at the world premiere 3 years ago today. Again, that video is on my channel if you want to watch that. I encourage people to check it out. Just type in Dave McRae Halloween World Premiere. It'll come up. Watch it if you want to see it, the whole fucking thing. It's great. And then when I was in LA that year. I was nominated for a Voice Arts Award. So I was over at Warner Brothers for that. And I also met up with Lewis from the Nerd Report, who treated me to an early, I think it was the night before, if I'm not mistaken. It was like Thursday night or something. We went to see it at the Chinese Theater. So shout out to my buddy Lewis from the Nerd Report, who was very kind to treat me to the, so I saw it there as well. So I actually saw it twice before it, like, kind of officially, well, I saw it at the world premiere and then again, kind of like the night before it opened, kind of like wide kind of thing. So because I was in LA for the Voice Arts Awards, that was actually the real reason why I was there. I was able to shoot down to Pasadena and, like, shoot the intro at the Myers. I was able to kind of make it fun for the viewer because I was able to get the Doyle house in there and the Myers house in there. And not everybody could do that. Like, unless you were in LA and you thought to do that or you could do it, the average, person on YouTube reviewing the movie couldn't do that. So I kind of thought it was an advantage, right? And kind of fun and cool. Well, I'm not in LA this year. So, not that doesn't mean I couldn't do it, but like to that level where, like, I have like this really cool opening and whatnot. I don't know. It depends how I feel about the movie. I mean, there was a lot of hype for the 18 film. There was a lot, I had been built, I was one of the big builders and building that hype train and that kind of stuff. And there was a lot riding on it and, I made a lot of promises. And so I felt like I wanted to do it with this movie. I don't know. I may just jump on like this and do maybe an hour-long talk where I give my thoughts, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Rather than doing like a more formal, in-depth review. But maybe I will. It all depends on how the film resonates with me. It all depends on how the film, or even if the film resonates with me. It really comes down to that. We'll see. The Dark Light, I like that, sends in $5, says, if Avatar 2009 got a limited re-release this year in December, do you think it would do decent, like another 5 million maybe? Sure. Yeah, I think so. It depends on where it's released. Like globally? Yeah, absolutely. Make 5 million in its sleep. Sure. 5 million is not a lot of money if you release it in North America and China, especially. For sure. And China loves Avatar. Fast forward, 289 sends in $9.99. Says, all great points, Dave. That's why I don't read reviews. I just wait and watch the movie for myself and see what I think and how I feel. Keep up the great work and also looking forward to the Blu-ray. Yes, thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's about balance. It's not that we shouldn't read reviews. Like, I hope people don't walk away from this thinking Dave's telling us not to, read the reviews. Listen, if there's somebody you trust and somebody you really enjoy reading, or you just enjoy reading different reviews, there's nothing wrong with that. But it's about understanding, just kind of understanding that this is somebody's experience. This was their experience. They may be right. They may be wrong. There may be some things that I agree with them on. There may be some things that I absolutely disagree with them on. But to never get so emotional about it that you become depressed and either way, you become depressed, disappointed, angry, where you were once excited for the movie, but now you're just really disappointed. Like, it really affects people, psychologically, emotionally. There are people out there, and I'm not kidding, and you know this, maybe you're one of them. There are people out there that that put all their cards, all their eggs into one basket. And depending on what happens on, RT, I mean, it can devastate them. Devastate them to the point where it changes their mood for the day. Like, they're down. That's what I'm talking about. Like, we need to kind of take a step back here and be like, hang on a sec. Like, this is not healthy. This is not good. There's nothing wrong with going, oh, really? That's weird. Some people, but at the end of the day, take it, file it, throw it in the back. I don't say completely I don't mean to say, completely different, but throw it in the back, and just don't worry about it. It's okay. All right. So this is kind of what people are saying so far. interesting. Okay. And leave it at that. And that's it. Because at the end of the day, it's about how you feel about it. What do you think about it? And, but I understand why it's difficult, because the entertainment industry has made, again, they haven't said this officially. They haven't even said this unofficially. Well, I guess they kind of have, but I'm saying like it's not like this is what it is, but the illusion has been created that Rotten Tomatoes is somehow this Supreme Court of movies. You know what I mean? It's all these high level existing, movie experts that know everything. And the problem is that's the problem. There's some people on there that are absolutely film savvy and cinephile and have degrees in film and story and write. Sure, yes. But there's a lot of people in their mom's basements on there. Like, I hate to say that. Now, I shouldn't say it quite like that, but I mean, like, because you have to get accredited. You have to have a certain, there's certain criteria that they look for. I understand that. But all I'm saying is that you do not have to understand film to be a Rotten Tomatoes critic. We hope they do, but you could have a very surface level understanding. Because like I said, there's reviews I've read on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm like, what is this, a creative writing class? Like, is this like first year fucking grade 5 creative writing? Like, what is it? Like, this is terrible. This tells me who is this person? How are they accredited? What is it? How are you able to affect the fucking review? Your review, good or negative, is affecting the review. Now, it might be marginal depending on how many people are, reviewing it, right? If there's 200 people reviewing it, well, then your up or down review doesn't do much. But it's still there, So yeah, it's all about balance. Just take a breath, relax, and watch the movie when it comes out on October 15th with your buddies, with your girlfriend, with your boyfriend, with your husband, with your wife, with your dog, with your cat, whatever, and fucking just see how you feel afterwards. You know what I mean? That's my advice. Yes. Okay. So Rick Flynn sends in $4.99. Thank you. Rick says, Dave, with what you know about Halloween Kills, what are your thoughts on Ends taking place a few years later? I don't want to say too much. Interesting. I'm still curious to see what they're going to, like, how it's going to, I'm still curious, but I don't want to say anything because I don't want to set expectations. Tom Ferreira sends in $4.99, says, I feel like we might see a lot of flashbacks with Michael. So I'm wondering if they show how they captured him 40 years ago. Well, I mean, I can tell you that they do show flashbacks for sure, back to the night of 1978. And there are dots that are connected and things that will make that were left sort of ambiguous that may make sense that are connected. Now, whether you feel that that's necessary or cool or like, fuck, that sucks, because I much prefer to just not know. That's going to be up to you. Oliver Mercer sends in £5. Thank you, Oliver, and says, would you be okay in seeing an alternate or an alternative shots with young Lindsay and Tommy? If so, do you think it would spoil the original film or not? Oh, with young Lindsay and Tommy. Would you be okay with seeing it? Well, I can tell you, I don't think you do. Would I be okay? Well, it depends. It depends on how it's done. I mean, it depends if you see, well, actually, I spoke too soon. It depends. It depends. I mean, maybe you do. I don't think you do in the movie. I'd have to ask one of my guys, but I don't think you do. But it would depend, right? I mean, I don't think you need to, unless you see them in the distance running to the Mackenzie's house. You just see two kids in the distance. You could do that, and you could cast any 10 and 8-year-old kid, and you don't even need to show their faces. You just hear them screaming, and you kind of see their shadows running across a lawn to the Mackenzie's house. I mean, you could do that, I guess. But you don't need some sort of subplot with Tommy and Lindsay as children. No, it's overkill, no pun intended. Matthew Ferresi sends in $4.99. Thank you, Matthew. Says, critics are irrelevant to me. I judge for myself. Well, that's the best way to do it. That is the best way to do it. All right, we'll go 5 more minutes, folks. 5 more minutes, and then I will call it a day or an evening here. It's 8:16 p.m. here in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I wonder where you guys are around the world, wherever you are. What do we got? Looking for somebody. And Jonathan Grant says, I'm interested in seeing a flashback scene how Myers gets caught in the original. Hey, Super Chat comes in. Harry Hagen, my man. Harry Hagen, my man. Harry sends in $5. Thank you, Harry. Says, to add insult to injury, Busta was a jerk to my friend at a rap battle for no reason. Well, that sucks. And we love his music. Do you think most actors are jerks by default? No. I think it's very circumstantial. I think it, and I certainly wouldn't call Busta an actor. I think it's, I think first and foremost, we have to remember that it is just a job. It is a job that they do that makes them well known to the public. That's it. There's nothing, I mean, it's an important job in the sense that they provide value of entertainment and excitement and all that kind of stuff, but they ain't curing cancer. And, it's a job. And, again, I grew up in a media family where my father was very recognizable. And, we'd be out and I'd have to deal with people coming up and wanting to talk to him or wanting a picture or his autograph or, whatever. Sometimes it was annoying as hell. Some people liked my dad. Some people didn't, because depending on what he wrote. But my dad was a dad. He was just my dad. You know what I mean? Like actors, actresses, performers, singers, rappers, they're just people. And, but there is that glitzy glamour Hollywood illusion that puts them on a pedestal like they are Greek gods, and again, that could be a whole other show, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is that it's not an excuse, but it's circumstantial, right? There are people that, there's that old saying, never meet your heroes. And all that means is it doesn't mean every actor, every performer, is a dick. It doesn't mean that. It just means that, some people are dicks, but some people are dicks. It's not actors. I shouldn't say it's not just actors or performers or rappers or singers. A lot of people in general are just fucking dicks. Do you know what I mean? And, sometimes if they are in a position like that, who knows what's going on? Again, I'm not making excuses for him, not making excuses, but who knows what was going on in his life? Who knows what's going on? Maybe he just lost his fucking goldfish or his gerbil or I don't know. Like, again, no excuse, but like, they're just people, man, and no excuse, but yeah, I wouldn't say that most actors are. I would say that probably most people are, maybe, and then when you have a job where you are, in the limelight a lot, or you get people coming up to you a lot, or bedside manners is a real skill. It is a real skill. And, I can only imagine what it must be like to be of a certain level of fame and to have people, following you, coming up to you, there's probably be tough, very tough. So again, no excuses for Busta. But they're just people, man. And, some people are just dicks, and then some actors can be because of whatever, right? Maybe they're just all these people and whatever, but it's like, dude, that's what you signed up for. I mean, that's not what you signed up for, but that's part of the package, dude. Anybody knows when you get into the entertainment industry, whatever you're doing, a filmmaker, a voice actor, an on-camera actor, a writer, director, performer, rapper, whatever, you don't, well, there are some people that get into it to be famous, but hopefully you don't get into it to be famous, but you realize that can be a byproduct, you being recognized, and you got to learn to have bedside manners. You got to learn how to talk to people, how to treat people. You got to learn how to say no, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And yeah, maybe it's hard because you're having a bad day or you're like, oh, fuck, another one, or, whatever, right? But then just excuse yourself. Just say, just say, hey, not right now. I just want, whatever, or maybe tomorrow. Or too many people feel like, and I understand it, they feel they don't want to disappoint. They don't want to disappoint. They want to, because, this is somebody and, all this kind of stuff. It's not an exact science, but anyway, yeah, who knows? But I think there are a lot of actors and performers and whatnot that are dicks, but I think it's just because there are a lot of people that are just dicks too. It's the way it is. Richard Nichols, am I saying that right? I don't know if I am. $5 says, how will RT score around 50% after the box office? What do you think this will make versus 18? I don't know. I don't know what it's going to make versus 18 because there's still a couple of variables that, we don't know yet. Are they releasing it only in theaters? And if they are releasing it only in theaters, how busy will the theaters be? Are they releasing it in theaters and streaming? Are they releasing it in theaters but streaming the same day or shortly after? Or there's a lot of variables at play we still don't know yet. It is if the theaters are not full, if they, if it's like today, it is unlikely to do. Well, I don't know. I don't know yet. I haven't made up my mind yet because there's still information in regards to Halloween Kills that we still don't have yet. So I'm kind of sitting on that. But how will RT score around 50% affect the box office? I see what you're saying. I don't think it's going to affect it at all. It's a Halloween movie at Halloween time with Michael Myers. I think everybody's going to go see it. Scott Mariano sends in $4.99, says, Dave, do you think at some point during the flashback we'll hear the 6 gunshots? Maybe. I don't know. That's not a question that I asked. I could probably get that info, though, but I wouldn't tell you that. But I honestly don't know. Real Reveal sends in $6.99. Thank you. Real says, hi, Dave. Got the t-shirt and autographs. Amazing. Will you be seeing anything at this year's TIFF, Dave? I will be seeing 33 movies at the festival this year. No, not immediately. No, I don't think 33 movies. Holy Christ. No, I have no plans at this very moment. I love this. I love this next one here. Rotten Tomatoes Supreme Court, $5. Dave, we hear you loud and clear. Keep it up. 6% on our Rotten Tomatoes. I love it. That is amazing. Tom Ferreira, thank you, Frank. Oh, Tom Ferreira retracted it though. He sent in $4.99, but the message was retracted. All right, folks, listen, that is going to do it for me here on this episode of nothing because I'm just doing live AMAs as of late. But here on this episode, you guys are amazing. Thank you to my amazing moderators, Frank Riker, Tabitha Shore, Darren Sands, and Chris Baber for doing what you folks do. You guys are amazing, but you are. Thank you to all the Super Chat questions that came in today. I didn't get to too many non-Super Chat questions, but as you guys could see, there were a lot of Super Chat questions that were coming in. You guys are awesome. Oh, there's Tom. He's going hard into the paint. He says, what's your thoughts on the Halloween fan films, especially the low budget ones? Well, I don't usually watch Halloween fan films. I mean, I've seen some of the more higher end ones like Happy Halloween or Halloween Night. But I don't generally watch Halloween fan films. And I don't really watch the and again, this isn't personal, but I don't generally watch the backyard in your friends. That's a whole other fucking thing right there. In your backyard with your friends, teenagers kind of, I don't really watch them because they're just amateur home movies. There's nothing there to, for me to get excited about. But I think people making Halloween fan films is fun. It's awesome. I mean, I've made a few back in the day too. So it's fun. I think it's oversaturated, which is one of the reasons why we did It's Me, Billy. But certainly, have at it. Go have a great time. Have fun. Folks, again, don't worry about it. Take it with a grain of salt. Just try not to get so emotional about it. And, I appreciate all the DMs and all the messages. You guys are awesome. But don't worry. The movie's going to come out. The sun will rise. The sun will shine, and you will be okay tomorrow. That's going to do it for me. In the meantime and in between time, cheers.